Welcome everyone. Today we will learn how to upload images into Azure Blob storage with .NET and Angular. So go to the Azure portal. You need to have an active Azure subscription and then create a storage account. Define the details, the subscription, the resource group, and the name. In this case will be code and Chris ST for storage account. Select the locally redundant storage, the basic redundancy tier. Click review and create the storage account. Go to Visual Studio and create an AS.NET Core Web API project. Define the name, Blob storage. Select .NET 8. Install the required NuGet package to connect with Azure Blob storage. So browse for Blob and then install Azure.storage.blob package. Go to the default controller and get rid of the sample code. Let's rename it as image controller. This controller will have just one simple HTTP post method. It will receive the files and then upload into Azure Blob storage. It will be asynchronous and we will return a string array, which will be the URIs of the images. So define the Blob client property, create a new Blob container client from the NuGet package, and we need to pass the connection string and the Blob container name. Okay, so the connection string, define a property, and the container, we need to create a container in the storage account. So go to the resource, go to the containers tab and create a new container called images, which will store the images. Let's copy the access keys from the access keys tab, copy the connection string, paste it here, and then pass the connection string value and the Blob container name, which is images. Go to the storage account and enable the anonymous access. It's enabled, so go to the containers and change the access level to anonymous read access for containers and blobs. Click OK, and that's it. Go to Visual Studio, and now we will take the form from the request object. We will read the form, okay, from the HTTP post method, and this form will contain the files that we will upload to the Azure Blob storage. Let's define a variable called task, which will return the list of URIs from the images. So call form that result. Now that let's await for the result and then return the files, and we will transfer this response to return the URI from the blob. I'm using a couple of tasks because I want to process in parallel using this task.whenAll method to upload the images in parallel. So here in the select function, we will create a blob which will represent the image in the Azure Blob storage. So call Blob client to get Blob client, and let's pass the name of the file, in this case file name, and now upload the image. How to do that? With blob.upload async method, add the await and async keyword in the select function, and then upload the string of the file. Okay, finally we will return the URI and transfer to string. That's it. Our API is ready, but in the program.cs file need to disable CORS to access this API from an external Angular application. So we will disable CORS. How to do that? By calling the add CORS method, defining options, a default policy, which will allow any origin, any method, and any headers. Okay, and to the pipeline we will use CORS. That's it. Run the API. It's ready to receive the images and upload them into the Azure Blob storage. So go to Visual Studio to create a new Angular application with the ngn command, defining the name of the application, and I will add several flags to keep the schema simple. Inline styles, skip tests, and select the defaults. Open the containing folder. And now let's open a new terminal window. We want to upload the images from this Angular application. So I've used an UI framework called PrimeNG to use two components, a file upload component and a gallery component to display the images. So go to the official PrimeNG documentation and let's run this command to install PrimeNG. Okay, let's copy these default styles to the global styles file, and we're ready to use the PrimeNG components. So let's expand this component section and look for the upload component, copy the code to import the module into the TypeScript file, import it into the import section into the standard component, and then copy a sample HTML code. Open the HTML, get rid of all the sample code, and define the basic parameters we need to add. The mode, the accept, to accept just images. We'll add this custom upload property to call a particular upload handler, which will be the Blob method in the TypeScript file that will perform the post request to upload the images to the Blob storage. Let's define two more properties, the auto property to automatically upload the images when selected, and the final property is this multiple property to upload several images. Okay, add the upload method, which will receive the event object as a parameter with the files, and we need to add a form to append all the files we want to upload. This is a new form data object, and iterate over the files with a for each method to append each file to the form, okay, by passing the name of the file and the file itself, and then to make an HTTP request. So we need to import the HTTP client module, inject the HTTP client by a constructor called http.post, which will return an array string with the URL of the API endpoint and the form, that is the body of the post request. So go to the Swaggy UI to get the URL from the web API and add the image what, that is the controller itself, and then subscribe to the observable and assign the result into a new property called images. Let's declare the property, and we're ready to display the images. So go to PrimeNG and look for a component, this gallery component, to display the images. In a UI component, copy this gallery module and then import in the imports module in the import section. Let's look for this sample HTML code, navigator without thumbnails. Let me copy the HTML code, go to the component HTML, define the required properties, the value, which will be the images property, show item navigators, hide thumbnails, and the container style will be a mask width of 384 pixels, and the source of the image is the item which contains the URI of the image. So save the HTML and the TypeScript file and click the console and run or set application with ngs command, and add the flap to open the browser automatically. Click the plus icon to upload the images. I will select these 4 images to upload. Let's click open and wait for the result. And as you can see, we have displayed the images. To verify that those images are in the images container in the Azure Blob storage, go to the Azure portal and refresh this images container. As you can see, we have the 4 images uploaded successfully into Azure Blob storage using .NET and Angular.